Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Devil's Advocate Trades Edition with your host, me, Lisa McGrath. And I am joined today by a really good friend of mine who is a trucker. Now, here's the fun thing. Him and I are going to have a very interesting conversation because prior to this, we were on the phone and I learned something new. So we're going to talk about it because it is Trades Edition. And, I kind of thought trucking was a trade, but apparently I was wrong. Hi, Greg.
Hi, welcome to your favorite unskilled labor driver.
What the fuck? What do you mean unskilled? That's insane. So here's the thing. I'm going to tell you what. I always thought trucking was a trade, and maybe that was ignorant of me, because more so I just figured it because it was something that, it wasn't. And this is going to sound like shit, but it was something that a lot of people flocked to. You could make decent money at it. And you needed to have a skill in order to do it. And that's how most trades kind of happen, right? So, and you needed to have special licensing and you have to have endorsements on your licensing. So to me, it kind of made sense that that was a trade. And here you've shattered my cocoon.
So, yes, make decent money? Absolutely. I make a very, very good living. But yeah, no, unskilled labor, it is not considered a trade. Even though we have to go to school, we have to do the MELT program. I started before the MELT program, so there's that. We're running at least 35,000 pounds down the road. Right now I'm closer to 130,000 pounds. And yeah, it is classified as unskilled labor.
It just blows my mind because like you and I have been friends now for like 6 years or just about 6 years. And your family neighbors over by where we live. And so we've had lots of conversations, and the amount of math that goes into your job and the amount of understanding weight, height, distribution, offsetting, logs, all the electrical or the technical equipment that you use, the mechanics that you've had to do. I don't know how many times I've been on the phone with you and you're like under your truck trying to figure some shit out. And I'm like, how does this not fall under a skill?
It doesn't. It's because it's used by a lot of people, and this is going to sound really shitty, as a way for immigrants to come into the country. Because it is classified as unskilled labor. So you don't have to take an equivalency exam. You don't have to be fluent in English. You don't have to...
I'm sorry. I'm confused when you say you don't have to be fluent in English on the basis that the majority of our communication and signs and whatnot and in contracts is predominantly in the English language, because there's a lot of import-export from English-speaking countries, especially somewhere like Canada where it's both English and French. And I know you can speak a little bit of French. It's not great, but I mean, you can get by, especially when you're going through Quebec.
Yeah. There are provinces in our country who have now started offering translation services and also the Class 1 tests in different languages.
That's insane. Our signs aren't in different languages. They're French and English.
Yeah, but you can write your test in, there's 3 or 4 different languages, and I'm not going to go into those languages for fear of going down another rabbit hole. But anyone who's been around can pretty much figure it out. But yeah, it's not mandatory that they are fluent in English.
Okay, but now help me understand something. You're a long-haul truck driver, right? Okay, so yes. Long-haul truck driving includes both all of Canada and pretty much all of the states. Is there anywhere else you travel outside of North America?
I go to the deep south along the Mexican border as well.
So you're kind of bordering Mexico.
So I have to have, I'll pick up, here's Mexico, here's where I'm picking up. It's right on the border where the signs are in English and Spanish.
Well, that's a good point. There's a lot. When you go to the States, it'll be in English and Spanish a lot of the time.
Yeah,
But
So I'll run into places where I have
let me ask
that
you a
too.
question. Are any of those exams in Spanish? Are they?
No. No, they are not.
You know where I was going with that, didn't you?
I sure did.
I should stop. Be like, we are Albertans, so we're all assholes, right, Greg?
Pretty much.
And like the token colored Albertan's just as much of an asshole. I learned me how to redneck real good now.
You done learn most goodly like.
You gotta get in where I fit in. Fit in where I get in.
Exactly. Something along those lines.
That's funny. Okay, so when you and I were on the phone, I was like, let's talk about trucking. So now we know it's not a trade, it's an unskilled labor, which is absolutely preposterous. I know you in your infinite wisdom because you are a very intelligent person. And I know a lot of people who know you, Greg, both on both sides of our Canadian and American border who know how intelligent you truly are. You speak well, you have you're almost kind of like a walking encyclopedia. And a lot of people go to you for information because you do put a very unbiased spin on all of the information that you give people. So I kind of find it interesting whenever something happens and you would, I'm just a dumb truck driver.
Hey, I'm just a dumb shit truck driver that puts it in the big hole and goes, I know how to drive.
But I know that's not the case because it kind of blows my mind because I think about these seasoned truck drivers that have been around for like 20 years. It must be like, they must be really insulted a lot of times to think, like when you think about it. It's insulting.
A lot of them are hanging up the keys. You are losing those seasoned drivers out here. They're actually going and hanging up the keys because they don't want to be out here anymore because of how dangerous it has become. Not just because of the newcomers coming in, whether it be from India or Africa or Latin American countries or even South America and Europe, but also because people on the road, most people on the road look at trucks as an insurance, especially here in the United States, look at big trucks as easy money for an insurance claim.
No.
Because automatically, no matter what happens, if a truck is involved in an accident, it is the truck driver's fault. Doesn't matter what it is. It starts off as the truck driver's fault because we are professional drivers.
Well, no, you're just unskilled labor.
So, we're just unskilled labor. But so that's the thing. So DOT, Department of Transportation in the U.S., Ministry of Transportation in Canada, law enforcement officials, they all see us as professionals. So we are held to that professional level. Now, when we're involved in an accident, and I'd like to preface this with, trucks don't have accidents. We have tragedies. Look at the Humboldt Broncos incident. Who is the person who was brought up on the cross and blamed for that?
Wasn't he unfortunately deported? And I know you and I had a really big talk around the Broncos, and you actually kind of felt really bad for the driver.
He has not been deported yet, and he should not be deported. But that's another conversation for another day.
I got time. Just kidding.
But the one thing that people don't realize is in that accident, anyone care to know what speed the bus was traveling at when it contacted the
Are you
truck?
saying it's conflicting with the information that's been presented?
Yes,
How do you know?
it is. Because that road is an 80 kilometer an hour, maybe 90 kilometer an hour road. I have spent enough time on buses, and I have spoken to people who are
Did you get inside information?
Been involved.
Okay.
Yeah. The bus was traveling at between 110 and 120 kilometers an hour.
Okay. So if I'm understanding this correctly, what you're saying is that had the bus been traveling at the 80 kilometers an hour that it was supposed to be, that maybe this incident wouldn't have occurred?
It might have still occurred, but it might not have been as tragic.
It really, I mean,
but no one wants to blame a dead
yeah,
guy.
well, that's it, right? And I mean, that it really shook Canada. It shook us right across the board when that happened, because I mean, that was a very there was lots of very promising young athletes in that bus, and that was a hard hit for Canada, to lose all of those kids, and
Yes, it was.
and how it happened. It was very violent, right? Very traumatic. And for the survivors that stayed a part of I mean, there is survivors. How many survivors are there in the Broncos?
5 or 6, no more than a couple.
And and I got to be honest with you, I mean, like, between you and I can't even imagine the survivor's guilt those guys must have. Like, it breaks my heart for them. Like, thank God they're alive. I hope they're doing amazing things. I haven't really been following them. I just want to, when things like that happen, I just want to give people privacy and let them live their lives. And I'm sure they're being, like, surrounded by, like, thousands of people. Like, how are you? Are you okay? What do you need? What are you doing? And, like, that in itself, which is.
Well, there's a survivor who lives in our area.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yes. Yeah.
Like, as in, like, our areas in, like, our city, or is it, like, our neighborhood?
Within our quadrant of our city.
So within our quadrant. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it's not super big, so I know I know the area. That's fair. Well, that's pretty cool. You know what? Then I probably ran into him at the grocery store.
Probably not.
Then. Good talk.
But I'll tell you who it is later.
So that's fine. We're not going to display it for everybody to be like, she's where? I know she lives in Air Trade.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's it's a pretty powerful statement to say, because a lot of people feel like he should be, deported, like the driver of the truck should be deported and whatnot. And it's interesting because, you and I, between all the stories you tell me and then all of the stuff that I see online, and I send it to you and I'm like, oh my God. And I send it to you and I watch, like, there's this one guy, he has like a big red hood. He's funny. And he does tons of videos of the stupid that exists on the road on the daily. People who will pump their brakes on you, people who fucking brake check you, people who just fly in front of you. I've watched fatalities on these videos happen in the blink of an eye because someone's like, oh, I'm just going to turn out onto a highway doing 60 while the truck's coming at 110 with a load that's probably 8,000 or 80,000 pounds. And it's like, did you think you were going to win?
Yep. So here's the best way to digress back to the Humboldt Broncos thing. Here's the best way I explain to people. The trigger for that incident was he ran a stop sign. Should every person who's ever run a stop sign be deported?
Why I'm laughing. Why I'm laughing, Greg.
Yeah, but that taxi cab who ran a stop sign, ran a stoplight, and T-boned a family, should that cab driver be deported, or did he make a mistake?
Yeah, well, even us, even us, true, like, I don't know what you call us, us actual Canadian citizens, we were born here in Canada. Like, even us, how many times have you just been not, like, how you're on idle and you just run a red light and you're like, oh shit, that was red.
Yep.
Or you roll through the stop because they're like, you rolled through the stop and we're like, no, we didn't, we stopped, but we were still kind of rolling, but your vehicle has to come to an absolute stop. And sometimes that doesn't, I'm not condoning that you roll through stops. I'm just saying it happens.
But should you be deported?
I wouldn't be. I'd be deported to Quebec.
Well, it is a nation within a nation.
No, the Bloc Québécois stood with Canada when Trump started his shit, Greg.
But that's the thing. Like, that's where I'm like. That gets back to my previous statements. Trucks don't have accidents. We have tragedies.
It's true. I mean, do you have to ask yourself, do you want to end up like a sardine can? I just don't understand why people do that shit. Like, it blows my mind. Like, okay, so you had taught me, ever since you and I have been friends, I've always had decent etiquette on the road around semis. And I find that it's almost like you guys have a sixth sense about which drivers are dicks and which drivers are okay. because I mean, that's all you do all day long is pay attention to how people's driving skills are, right? But it's almost like you guys have the intuition, right? To know what, like who's like just basically looking at how the drive pattern on the vehicle's going, you know if they're going to be a dick or not. And I've had more truck drivers help me in bad weather while driving. They'll stay in front of me, they'll come in behind me and kind of like get me into a pass when there's whiteouts. I've had them, stop and make sure I'm okay. I've had more positive experiences with truck drivers than I've had negative experiences. Although there's the occasional guy that's just like, yeah, I mean, like I'll like speed up to the limit and try to merge in. And he's like, well, you can merge or die. And I'm like, you know what? I choose brakes. Good talk. But I thought I had enough time to get there because it's not like he was doing 110 and I'm like $120 coming down going, I can beat this semi. No, I can't. Step on the brakes. But then there's people that I watch, Greg, that will still take it and cut the truck driver off. I prefer to slam on my brakes and just go behind him.
But that's because you choose life.
I do.
A lot of those people, they don't care. They suffer from get-there-itis.
From what?
Get-there-itis. Where they just want to get there and they want to get there now, whether it be because they don't like driving, they're uncomfortable driving. They got 2 screaming kids in the back and they're trying to get home to a nagging wife so they can cook dinner. We don't know what's going on in everyone's world. So for them, they see that truck going down the road and they go, if I get behind this guy, it's going to take me 5 minutes longer to get home. Well, those 5 minutes, that's 5 minutes of me sitting in my easy chair. That's 5 minutes of not prepping dinner. That's 5 less minutes of, drinking beer, watching a football game.
Yeah, I get it.
It's get-there-itis, and it gets people killed.
Or in horrific accidents where they don't always walk out of it. They're usually cut out.
And that's the thing. So most accidents involving semis on the road, when it's a 4-wheeler and a semi, I would say 75% are the 4-wheeler's fault, if not more.
Based on what? Based on the fact that it's actually the 4-wheeler's fault? So as in like we're the 4-wheelers, right? So you got to make sure we understand. Okay, so the 4-wheelers are us, the people in like the 1 tons and the cars and whatnot.
The cars, the pickups.
And then there's the semis. So 75% of the time it's our fault versus your guys' fault. I agree with that.
Correct. Because you'll cut in front of us. And
I watch that shit go down all the time.
There's a lineup of traffic slowing down. So the semi's slowing down. Oh, there's a big spot. I can get 3 cars ahead. Well, that big spot, I need to stop.
Don't you have magic brakes?
I don't leave that space for my own health. I leave that so I can stop.
Well, but don't we always talk about how common sense isn't so common anymore?
Yeah, and if idiots could fly, this place would be an airport.
It's not wrong. It is true. I mean, like, there's a lot of times where people get really pissy. So it's so funny. When the weather is shit, I purposely find a slow semi driver to go behind because then I don't have to explain myself because I drive a 1/2 ton and everybody thinks I should be doing $110 on the highway. But I'm like, I can feel my back tire slipping and I really don't want to drive like a psychopath. I'm a little bit nervous because the weather isn't great. So I like purposely find a semi that's doing like 90, 80. And I'm like right behind him and I'm like, oh, I'm going to put my hazards on. The semi's in front of me. So saved by the semi.
It's better to drive a little bit slower than travel at Mach Jesus and meet them.
Right? Agreed. But that's my point is that there are so many, because we're like, both of us are from Alberta. Your family goes back generations in Alberta. Mine doesn't, but we're both homegrown, basically Alberta. I mean, I came over when I was 2 years old from Quebec. So,
immigrant.
Listen, don't fucking hate because you ain't. You're just upset because I was eating poutine before you even knew about it.
Tabernacle.
But yes, so, it's one of those things where I find it interesting, to watch the semis on the road and the drivers around them. And then like all the big, like the trucks that are my size. So like the 2500s, the 3500s, or the 350s or whatever, or the half tons, like I drive a half ton. I find it interesting to watch so many of them, a mix of drivers, white, black, purple, yellow, orange, male, female, old, young, whatever, doesn't matter. And a lot of them are like trying to drive some ridiculous limit. And I'm like, I've got good tires on. I've got a newer truck. I'm just not confident based on the fact that I've been driving for a long time and I can feel that there's a bit of a slip in my tires. I can feel them slip. And I'm like, I'm not okay with it. I'm just someone who doesn't want to challenge, some people are like, oh, just go faster. What? And I don't understand that logic. And you drive for a living. That is what your job is, to drive for a living. Why would someone tell me to go faster if you feel your tire slip?
Because they're soft in the head. They bump their head. So
they fell and bumped their head.
Here's the thing. They fell and they bumped their head. There is a time when you need the power, you need the speed. There's also a time when you don't. The thing is you should never drive faster than your guardian angel can fly. I've been going down the road in Rogers Pass where they closed the pass with me on it.
It's fun.
Oh, great time. I was going down the highway coming into Albert Canyon on the Trans-Canada Highway. The big steep hill just before Revelstoke. And nope. Sycamoose. My trailer started to pass me. I look in my mirror. There's the back end of my trailer coming around. I'm in a jackknife.
What do you do?
How do you get out of it?
I'm not the unskilled labor. I wouldn't know.
Dump some fuel to it and tap the trailer brake.
Oh, I guess that would make sense. Yeah. Because if I go into a fishtail, I will. Yep, same thing. Except for I don't have something that could kill me.
Dump the fuel.
Coming around to meet me.
But you go into a fishtail, you dump the fuel to it. That's where you need the speed. That's where you need the power. So if you're in shitty weather, driving fast is not going to help you. Driving slower, so when you get into a shitty situation, you have the get up and go available to you, is actually going to be your savior. So people who think driving fast in shit weather is the cat's ass meow, no. The only thing you're going to do is drive yourself into the ditch a lot quicker than I am.
That's what I always say. Every time someone blows past me in shit weather, I'm like, oh, see you later in the ditch, bro.
Yep. 100%.
Oh, God. Oh, good.
And, there's that whole thing of it. And then back to the unskilled labor and the hours of service with the logbooks. I have to know the logbook rules for two countries, which is 3 different sets of rules.
So truck drivers have to have a brain.
Yeah.
And how many of them do you think have a brain?
Depends on the day.
Okay, I'll try not to put you in the hot seat. If you want to answer it, you can. Otherwise, you can just, abstain from answering this question. But I'm curious. Which province has the worst truck drivers? And you can't say that province has the worst truck drivers if there's a whole bunch of different provinces and countries and whatnot inside that. You have to be like, which one, like, where are they originating from? which province has the worst truck drivers? They originate from Ontario. I don't care if they landed from another country into Ontario. That's where they reside.
Okay, that is a very difficult question to answer. Because trucking companies are going to be registered in different provinces. So we'll take a major carrier that everyone knows, Bison Transport. They're registered in Manitoba.
I thought they were out of Alberta.
No, they have a terminal in Alberta. They have a terminal in Calgary. They have a terminal in Edmonton. But they're registered out of Manitoba.
Why I gotta go make shit complicated, make my question all crazy? I can't ask you which is the worst company, even though like everybody makes fun of Swift.
So here's the thing. Swift actually is not that bad of a company.
So why does everybody make fun of them?
Because of numbers.
Oh. Gotcha.
So if you go, you can actually go online and you can look up Swift Transportation out of Phoenix, Arizona, because that's where they're based out of. You can see their crash rating. It is less than 1%.
What the hell? That's not even that bad. Yeah.
But 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, every minute of every day, they have at least 2,500 trucks on the road.
That's a lot of trucks. Makes them an easy target.
So you have that many trucks on the road, you're bound to have accidents. You're bound to be seen. So just because you always see a trucking company in the news or on the interwebs involved in an incident doesn't necessarily make them a bad company. It could be just numbers. You take a company like Bison, I think last time I looked, they had over 500 power units, which is the truck part of a semi-truck. I believe they had over 500 power units registered to them.
So is that like when you talk about power, you talk about the tractor?
Okay. Yeah, the tractor. Over 500 power units.
Huh, that's a lot.
Yeah.
So what?
Then you take a company where I'm at now, we have 30.
Yeah. I get it. Like Bison is a larger transport company. So then
it's a mega carrier.
Fair. So let me ask you a question, because I don't think a lot of people understand this dynamic. There is a difference between owner operator and then employee truck driver. There's two different types of truck drivers, and a lot of people don't understand that.
There's actually three.
Educate me.
So you have your owner operator, which is, they're also known as broker operators, where they own their truck or they've leased their truck separately through a finance company. They're making the payments on it. They pay the fuel, everything like that. If they get upset with the company, they can, once their lease is done, they can go on down the road. Then there's lease operators. Lease operators purchase their truck through the company. So they make the lease payment to the company. They pay the fuel through the company. They get a certain mileage or percentage that's paid through the company. They have to pay the trailer rental, the e-log rental, all of that, but it's at a different rate than the owner operator. Then there's guys like myself who are company drivers, where we don't own a bolt in the truck. I got a company credit card for the fuel. Something breaks, I make a phone call. Hey, it's broken, come fix it. So it all depends on what you want to do. For me, I will never be anything more than a company driver, because if you own your truck, if it's got tits or tires, it's costing you money.
Said like a real redneck, Greg.
Absolutely. But here's the thing. let's put this in
Mhm.
perspective. Most people drive what?
Drive me fucking crazy. I'm sorry.
Maybe
What happened?
30,000
Yeah, they
kilometers a
usually say
year?
between 27,
Maybe?
about 25,000 is where insurance kind of has you tapped out a year. Mhm.
Okay. How many do you think I
Well,
drive a
that's
year?
stupid. We already know the answer to this because you and I've had this question. You've had this question before. So you can just tell my audience how many miles you drive.
I do 100,000 miles a year, which is about 160,000
I'm
kilometers.
so glad you converted it to our preferred language of metric. Thank you.
I know. But, so with that in mind, every 10 to 15,000 kilometers, I'm having to grease the truck. Every 20 to 25,000 kilometers, I'm having to do an oil change.
Okay. Yeah.
So now if you're an owner-operator, to do your oil change, you can go to a truck stop, you can go to a Love's, a Flying J,
Yeah.
TA, place like that, get your
Yeah.
oil changed. That's 400, that's right around
Okay.
$500. And you got to do that every 25,000 K. And you do 160,000 K a year. That's almost 10 oil changes a year. There's $5,000 just in oil changes.
Well, yeah. I mean, but that's your tool to work.
Then you got to grease.
Yeah, but that's your tool to work.
Exactly. Yeah. But if you're paid, in order to break even for most owner operators, they need to make $2.85 a mile. Between $2 and $2.85 a mile.
Yeah.
That is. And that's to pay their fuel, pay themselves, puts money away for maintenance, do all of that. And that's if you're doing maintenance you're the one doing the maintenance. You need more if you're taking it to the truck stop for the maintenance, or the shop for the maintenance.
That's a lot. I mean, like you and I have had thousands of conversations while you're on the road and the things that you go through and the things that you see. So I guess my biggest question is for people who think about getting into trucking, what's the best part about trucking? What's the worst part about trucking? I mean, you have a young family, Greg.
Best part about trucking? I'm a paid tourist.
That's a good way to look at it.
I'm a paid tourist. I've seen the St. Louis Arch. I've seen Donald Trump's wall going across the Mexican border. I've had some amazing food. I've been given the opportunity, especially during COVID, I was given the opportunity in the middle of COVID to go and be able to see a concert in Salt Lake City that I never thought I'd be able to see in my entire life. I remember.
Was that Garth Brooks?
I have been afforded. That was Garth Brooks. Like that, like even talking about it,
Me too.
got goosebumps.
I got goosebumps when you're talking about it.
Like, so I've been afforded some really great things. And I get away from the screaming wife and kids and actually able to sleep.
Dick.
Downside is I'm away from the screaming wife and kids. I have to watch my kids grow up through a telephone. It sucks. Anyone who wants to get into trucking, if you want to do it, do it. I ain't going to stop you. Don't let fear and common sense stop you. But no, it is a very lonely life. You live in a fucking box. Like, what? This is my life. It's in a box. I eat out of a microwave and my fridge. Me and sandwiches are best friends. You know, it is what it is.
Yeah, we've talked about that. I mean, COVID was a hard time for you, which is why I always thought you guys were a trade when COVID happened. I mean, like, I remember you were getting green lights with no, like, it was like basically like you're coming from this part of the States to this part of Canada, and there is nothing stopping you because you are hauling an essential item. And I was like, oh, and so it was like there was no logs, there was no nothing. It was you get it there, and I don't care how long it takes you or how quick you get it there, but it's got to go, and it's got to go now. And you just were like, okay.
And so during COVID, it sucked being a truck driver during COVID sucked. Okay, was it awesome because I got to run like a bat out of hell? Absolutely. But coming into the U.S. as a Canadian, after the rules that were put in place, it was a scary time.
Yeah.
I had threats of violence against me. I was called names. I was told to go back to my own country. I was told to go back to where I came from.
But you're white.
Even within Canada, yeah, even within Canada, I was treated as not even a third-class citizen. I was treated awful. I remember one time I was up in northern Ontario. The temperature before wind chill was negative 40. With wind chill, it was close to negative 47. I had to go to the washroom. I had to do a basic human need to go to the washroom. I was not allowed into the truck stop, so I had to go to my back bumper in a snowstorm at minus 47 degrees, drop trowel, and shit in a plastic bag.
It's disgusting. It's disgusting. So then help me understand.
That's how we were treated.
And it's disgusting because I remember when we were having this conversation during COVID, and I would say to you, you're like, I can't even go through the drive-through because the truck won't go through the drive-through, obviously. So I have to walk to the window and knock, and some of them wouldn't even serve me because I wasn't allowed in the restaurant. And I was like, what?
I couldn't go in the restaurants. Most drive-throughs wouldn't let me through. When I would come home, even being able to go to the grocery store to get food, and my kids being allowed to go and partake in activities were questionable because I would have just came back from the U.S. So they were blacklisted. I was blacklisted. I could not go to the bank and get a new bank card.
I remember because your little boy was born during COVID, and you and your wife had it all planned out that you were going to be in Canada for 2 weeks quarantine so that you'd be able to be at the hospital because she was going to go through C-section, and your son was like, I'm coming. And I'm the one who took her to the hospital.
Yep, fuck that little bastard.
I know, he's just a little shit. And I remember, and it was so funny to me because I remember I kept telling Mandy, I was like, if you need me, just call me. If you need me, just call me. You're on my bypass. Like, just call me. And she's like, everything's fine, Lisa. Everything's scheduled. Everything's fine, Lisa. And then I get the phone call. And of course, because you guys are both super country, her ringtone of strawberry wine comes through at like 5 a.m. And I'm like, are we having a baby?
And I had just crossed the border. I know,
and you were just sleeping. And her and I were like blowing up your phone like, and then your response was priceless because it was so tired and so defeated. We're like, Greg, we're on the way to the hospital. Maddie's in labor. Okay. Like, what do you want me to do about it? Like, I'm in BC. I just got to Abbotsford.
Yeah, and then it took me 2 days to get home.
Because you were in a storm. It was 3 days.
Yeah, no, it took me 2.
I thought it was 3 days because you were going through you came down through Rogers Pass and there was a storm. I thought they had closed it for a bit.
Yeah, so firstly I went from Abbotsford to Sicamous, got stuck in the closure, got up, it was open, hightailed it to Boom Lake, had a nap, and then came in, because, nap times. Then I came in, and don't forget, I had a broken wrist.
Yes, you did. That's right. Oh my God, he was so cute, though. He was so cute. Little munchkin.
I still look like he got hit in the face with a frying pan.
Did not. He's cute as a button, that kid. He's my favorite.
Wrinkly and
I told you I was going to make him my boyfriend, and now I'm like, bye, babe. He's like, bye, babe. Yes.
Yeah, you say that now. Just wait till you're the gilf and he's taking you to prom.
I'll go. Listen, nothing's happening, but I will happily be your arm candy at that age. There's like a 40-year age gap.
He'll have to get you out of the fucking nursing home.
Such a dick. But I'll tell you something I love about you, Greg, is that as much as like you're so, like you get so redneck, but you've got like the biggest heart in the world. and you're super sweet, and you love people. You hate love people. There are certain people you hate and they drain you and you're quite content to be by yourself, but then you don't mind talking to many people in the day. And these people are from all walks of life. You've got good friends that are you've got good friends that are gay, that are straight, that are crazy, that are women, that are men, that are trans. You have friends everywhere, and you don't care about all of the noise that goes on. It's like, I don't care who you are. You're nice to me, you're respectful, you're funny, and we can have a conversation. That's basically, those are kind of like your elements. And I love that about you as a person, especially when people are like, oh my God, he's just another Albertan redneck. And I'm like, oh, this big teddy bear. You're like, no.
I just have zero tolerance for stupid.
Most people have zero tolerance for stupid, which is funny because it's always, in my brain, you should be like closer to my age and you're not. We're not that far apart, but we're far enough where I'm like, no, I feel like you should only be like a couple years younger than me because you talk like a Gen Xer. And you're like more in like the millennial, like when they were like, this is millennial, like you're, what was it, 80? Like if you were born anything like 81 and down, because I'm 81 and you're 87. So if we were anywhere between 81 and 83, it was like you were older millennial, the elder millennial. And then they came up with
I should get you a walker, my elder.
Don't yell at your elder, Greg. Respect your elder. But but then they came up with the division of like the exennial, which is now 78 to, you said 88?
Yeah.
10-year span? Okay. Which makes sense because there's so many of them inside of there that would identify with it because they got boomer parents and Gen X siblings and you know what I mean? So, because I mean, I don't know if your parents are your parents considered, I think your parents are X, aren't they?
I don't know. They're old and crotchety, and some days I want to punch them in the head.
Your mother will listen to this. She follows me.
I'll say it to her face.
Shit.
There's a reason she calls me the spawn of Satan.
Well, she'd know. While he was growing inside me, I knew something was wrong.
I felt the devil horns. Ah.
I should hug your mom more.
But, and now with this trade war that's going on,
yes,
it's making my life very interesting too.
I want to hear about this because you're in the transport business and you're going across the border. Like, I remember I called you when everything was going. I'm like, are you okay? Are you across the border? Where are you? Are you in Canada? Come back to Canada.
So, with the equipment that comes across, it's steel, it's aluminum, it's machine parts, it's all. Are you new?
Talking to a driver.
You need more securement.
You're talking about this? What they asked you?
Sorry. No, I just saw a driver go by with a load that only had one chain on it.
That's what I thought you were talking about.
It hurts my head. But anyways, I'm very sorry to your audience for my trucker Tourette's.
It's okay, he has trucker Tourette's, so moving forward, if he just spans off. That's what I thought you were talking to a truck. I was like, what's going on? And then, so do I dare ask, was the driver part of one of the languages that's now offered as the trucking exam?
No.
He's using his privileged white card.
No, he was not.
Okay, I'm listening.
He could have blended in with a tire.
Carry on. As you were, sir, with the tariff force.
I didn't know how to go about that one.
Listen, if he's standing next to a building in an alleyway, like, oh, did you hear that guy? One guy who comes on and he says like he's like the darkest black guy you've seen, and he's a comedian. He's hilarious. I don't remember his name, and I think it's Michael. And all black guys are like named Michael. And then he's like, and he says, and he's like, I was told that the difference between me and midnight is 11:59. I was told that he's like, I'm so dark that I need to smile if people are going to find me. I'm like, oh my God. He's like, I was told I'm so dark. I'm like under the bed. I almost pissed.
Accurate. Anyways, back to this
Here we
trade
go.
war. So with a lot of this stuff I'm transporting, it's all being hit with these tariffs.
Right.
So now, well, right now they're suspended. So we're moving a lot of equipment to try to get it
Before.
to the United States before these tariffs hit. But it's causing issues at the borders. It's because they're wanting to figure out what's going on. Like, we have guys where it'll be like, hey, drop, get back across, grab something else, go. Another guy, they barely cross, swap, go. So there's a lot of stuff moving, and it's just boop, boop, boop,
Yeah.
boop, 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 boop,
Well,
go,
before
go,
the 30th, right? Or we're fucking February, Lisa.
Yeah.
Jesus. 28th.
Yeah, so, like, it's craziness. So that's happening. And again, with being down here with the current administration that's in place with Benito the Dorito, it's really hard to feel comfortable in certain places.
I bet.
Because you're targeted based off what they see on your license plate is what they assume about you.
So your plates are from Ontario, which means they think you're a toting liberal.
Exactly. And I'm automatically lumped in with Doug Ford and his threats to turn off the power and all of that.
Well, Ford isn't a liberal.
No, but he's Ontario.
I know Ontario's automatically like liberal.
Let's face facts. We're dealing with a majority of truck drivers in the States with a very broken education system.
Yeah, I get it.
So they see Canada, they go, oh, Canada, you're Trudeau, you're a liberal.
Yeah, but you're not.
No, but
you're not for MAGA, Greg. You're not. You're not like insane conservative, like completely on the opposite side.
No, but I'm also. Well, that's because I don't have a smooth brain. But that's neither here nor there. We're going down rabbit holes again, and this could divulge into one of our normal phone calls.
I mean, would that be bad? They're quite funny.
It could. I could
offend a lot of people.
I could hurt feelings. I would hurt feelings.
I know. We'd offend a lot of people. I might get canceled.
You might.
Okay.
Dark humor, racist humor. Yeah, let's get canceled today.
Well, I mean, you wouldn't.
Is that on the bingo card for 2025?
I got a month before.
Come on, isn't that on the 2025 bingo card? Get canceled.
Well, it does come across as uncensored. I do say that. We are uncensored, but I'm not trying to offend everybody because everybody gets hurt feelings real easy these days.
I have a report for them.
Is it the ID.10 form?
It is not the ID10 form. IDT10
IDT10 form.
No, it is the actual hurt feelings.
Oh, I love
report.
those. I made one of those when I was in construction. Like when I was like in the field with the boys all the time, I made a hurt feelings report. I was such a dick. Whatever.
Sorry for the wonderfully smooth road. But no, so there's that going on, and a lot of truck drivers are that ultra-conservative Donald Trump, rah, this, boom, bah, without actually looking at the totality of what he's doing. So that causes some interesting things. Just like being down here during the whole Black Lives Matter
Oh, I
movement.
remember that. Yeah.
As a white male, not a lot of fun.
Well, you told me you weren't. There was it Chicago? You weren't stopping. You're going straight through.
Chicago and Minneapolis.
You're going straight through. You're like, I don't care if I have to pee. I'm going straight through.
Yep. It's just how it is. But, back to, the whole thing about respecting the drivers and stuff like that. There are simple things that people can do when they see a truck just to make their life easier and safer. You're passing a truck. Don't sit around and look at what we're hauling. Get out, get down the road. Don't stare at us. We know we're big and ugly. Look at me. I'm a prime example of that. Big, ugly, nobody wants me on their road. I'm slow. It happens. But,
a lot of you guys,
when you're passing...
Sorry, a lot of your trucks are governed though, right?
Go ahead. Yeah. A lot of trucks are governed at 65 miles an hour, 105 kilometers an hour because of the Ontario government, the BC government, and the Quebec government.
Way to go, guys.
Yeah. Alberta, Saskatchewan, they do not have rules that state that trucks have to be governed. So those trucks can zoom, zoom, zoom. But if they go into those provinces, they have to have a governor on them.
That's fair. Not all of them do, though.
No, they don't. But if you see a truck broke down on the side of the road, or even a car broke down on the side of the road, move over. Give them space to work.
I don't think a lot of people understand or appreciate what a trucker goes through is really what it comes down to. You know what I mean? I got to ask you a question. So now we talk about the Highway of Tears, which is Highway 63 in Alberta, but that's not really the Highway of Tears. The true Highway of Tears is Highway 11 in Ontario, spanning all the way from Ontario into I think Manitoba.
So Highway of Tears, Highway 16 up through northern BC, then you got Highway 63, but then you have Highway 11 through Ontario, which goes from Nipigon all the way over towards Ottawa. And you also have Highway 17. Those are the only two ways to get in and out of Ontario. That's it. And it is 2-lane, undivided highway. There are spots on there with no cell service. There's nowhere to park. There's nothing. You have to drive hours between cities and towns. I can tell you, once you leave Nipigon, your next parking that's moderately safe is an hour up the road, and that's in Beardmore. Then from Beardmore, your next kind of safe place, if you want to call it that, is Long Lac. And then from Long Lac, you're at least 2 hours to Hearst, which is your next major town. From Long Lac to Hearst, there's nothing. You don't even have cell phone service. So you get in a wreck, your vehicle, you have a maintenance issue, something like that happens. You're 2 hours without help, and that's if somebody stops to help you.
Yeah, so you're SOL.
Yeah. People have and will continue to die on that highway because of things like that. And it is such a major thoroughfare. It's a truck corridor. There's nothing but trucks on those roads. I have never seen those roads without trucks on them. They go, go, go all the time. And you have guys driving at night. Okay, so now you're nighttime driving on a 2-lane undivided highway, and you have to watch out for moose, and you're in an area of no cell service, and you're a team truck or you're night driving or whatever you're doing, you may not be fully rested. There are going to be crashes. People are going to die. Just within the last week, I think there's been 4 fatalities on that
which
road
highway?
alone.
Which one?
I think it's Highway 11
Yeah, you talked about
in
that one
Ontario.
a lot. Yeah.
The double T.
Yeah. So which?
And
Go ahead.
it's just bad. There's no good highway through Ontario until you get to the 400 series highways, but those are in the major metropolitan areas because the government wants to keep those people happy, give them more lanes of traffic, because I don't want to sit in traffic for 2 hours to commute to work.
Yeah.
But they don't give a shit about the drivers who've been driving for 10 and a half, 12 hours a day, trying to get them their fucking Amazon order.
Well, now, Alberta has 2 separate ring roads. We've got a ring road in Calgary, and we've got a ring road, which is the Henday, right? Henday was designed as a ring road, was it not, for Edmonton?
In Edmonton.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
So why don't we have more ring roads for the trucks?
Because they're expensive.
Maybe we should give them some of that Alberta money. Go get it.
Well, and governments don't want to spend money on trucks because people don't like trucks. People as a general rule do not like trucks or truck drivers because we're slow, we're big, and we delay them on the road.
That's rude.
But here's the thing. Without trucks, you'd be naked, starving, and cold.
Unless you know Chicken Jeff.
But no, even knowing Chicken Jeff.
Mm-hmm. I know what you're saying. You're
You'd
not
be
wrong.
naked, starving, and cold. Because everything in this world, I don't care if it's a cow going to a farm, a chicken going to a farm, eggs going to the grocery store, the clothes going to the mall, the gas you put in your vehicle.
Yeah.
Everything comes on a truck at one point or another. So people need to just get over themselves.
Well, there was a time when you were a long-haul truck driver for refrigeration. You had a refrigeration tank on. So you were transporting, like milk and cream and all kinds of shit like that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, people don't care.
I mean, I think some people care, but you're not wrong. It kind of seems to be the general consensus that it's like, fucking guys in my way, goddamn semis. I usually let people. I usually will let semis pass. I don't really have like I'm like, well, I'm on my way home. I'm not going to get there any faster. Like, who gives a shit?
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll speed past them so that they have room. Like, it's like I'm kind of that truck that's just kind of like right in the middle. So it's either like back off or go faster. And sometimes I'll just hit it and I'll go faster. And then I'll lane weave with them so that when they're coming one way, like we crisscross. It's just easier. Oh, and then I also was told, so the rule of thumb is if you're going to move over in front of a truck, put your clicker on and count to 10.
Yeah, or just look in your rear view mirror, and if you can see the top of the truck.
That's what I mean. I don't mean like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Yeah. But look in your mirror, and if you can see the top of the tractor, there's enough space for you to move over.
That's good to know. That good to know, Greg.
Oh, yes, very good.
So now I need to ask you a question because I'm fucking confused right now. What the hell was the convoy about? Because in the beginning, it was like it kind of made sense to me, but then it just turned into something crazy. And you're a trucker and you're Canadian and you weren't part of that convoy. So I know you had an opinion, but I don't remember. It was I feel like it was so long ago, but at the same time, I'm like, you guys aren't trades. Why weren't you guys fighting to be acknowledged as a trade and blah, 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 blah. Like I don't understand.
So what it started out as was to get the highways made safer, because the highways are dangerous.
It's a great thing.
Then it devolved into fighting the COVID vaccine mandate.
Oh, God.
Because that's what it turned into, and yeah.
Why does every movement that starts off with good intentions just get fucking muddied?
Because they're run by people.
Checks attracts, bro. Okay, so then it got muddied with the COVID, and then what else? There was other things. There was like 5 different things. Do you remember them all?
No, the main one was the COVID vaccine mandate. That was what a majority of it was about, which is absolute donkey shit.
Yeah.
But it is what it is.
It is what it is.
And then from there, it just, it was what it started off with good intentions.
Yeah.
And then it went sideways.
Yeah, like, I don't know. It's like someone tries to have a voice, and they have a good voice, and they have a good amount of people behind them with that voice, and then you just get one fucking lunatic that's like, well, we can just add this to it. And it's like, why can't the people that are forward moving in this momentum of saying, we want this, we don't care about that. Like, that's a whole other fucking issue. Like, that's a different agenda item. That's a different meeting. Right now we're meeting on this. You go take your little agenda item and put it in your little meeting, and you go have that one. Don't jump our fucking bandwagon. Because then nothing got done.
But that's why it became known as the Freedom. But that's why it became known as the Freedom Convoy.
You can't tell me that.
For the freedom of choice.
Yeah, well, but you can't tell me that a large percentage of the trucks that went down there actually believed that. Most of them were like, I just want better roads. I just want to be treated like a human.
No. Most of them went down there because of the COVID vaccine.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm so conflicted about that shit. I talked on it in my last podcast, and I was just like, I don't want to fucking hear about it anymore. Like, I don't give it, like, they're like, you know, our favorite little friend there, she puts up a lot of posts about how what was in the COVID vaccine, and the jig is up, and make sure you know that what you injected into your body was X, Y. And I'm like, I don't fucking care. Like, I don't. It was a personal choice I made for me, for my kids.
Yeah.
And if you got it, and if you got it, and you got it, I don't care. If you all didn't, I don't care. I have friends that are anti-vaxxers, and I have friends that are vaxxers, and I love them both the same, because them getting a needle does not negate whether they can be my friend or not.
Here's the thing. If you're an anti-vaxxer, that's fine. The only reason you're allowed to be an anti-vaxxer is because your parents had you vaccinated.
Are you trying to hurt feelings?
Stating a fact.
Do you think a lot, like, what happens with the people that have, like, that didn't vaccinate though? Like, I've got friends that were never vaccinated, and then they didn't vax their kids. You're like, those are few and far between.
Here's the thing. A lot of the reason those kids are surviving right now is because the majority of the population vaccinates their kids.
Yeah. Well, now, do you remember there was an outbreak there not long ago for measles? There was, I think, meningitis. I think there was whooping cough. Like, some of these diseases were coming back, and people are like, what's going on? Like, these should have all been eradicated.
It's because people weren't vaccinating. Because of people not vaccinating.
Yeah. There are some people that legitimately can't get vaccinated because it
which you know what? That is what it is. But here's the thing, when we were kids, how often did people get mumps?
Never.
Never. You might have heard of one kid getting
I got whooping cough when I was a baby. Yeah.
Yeah. But, you know, again, few and far between. And then now we're seeing these spikes. Well, a lot of that's based off of these parents who were vaccinated and are turning around and going, oh, I don't want to vaccinate my kids for X, Y, and
Mhm.
Z. But now they're not doing anything about it.
Yeah.
So now this whole thing is starting to come
Mhm.
back. And that's causing the issues, and everyone's up in arms going, well, how come these diseases are coming back? They should have been eradicated. Let's look in a mirror.
Because it took one brainiac to go, we're not doing that.
Yeah, let's look at personal choices that we have made and how it not only affects us, but also affects
Oh
our
my
children.
God, you're being so PG right now. I know that if it was just you and me on the phone, you'd be like, no, Stacy, I've seen what you put in your body. Don't start choosing no vaccine.
I'm trying not to hurt feelings.
I just hear your voice in my head. I'm like, he's being so good. I gave you the listen, don't hurt feelings. Stop. And then I can just hear your sarcasm be like, you're gonna start picking and choosing what injection you get when you didn't for like 10 years.
But so here's the thing. A lot of people that I found that are anti-vaccine are also the same people who are going to sit there and say, oh, let's microdose acid because that's therapeutic. Listen here, Riri. This is not how you live life. You know what else is therapy? Do you know what's great for a dental plan? Crack. You don't have any teeth.
You make me fucking make me cry and laugh. You're making faces, Greg. Fucking faces. Oh God.
But it's true. You know, what's red and bad for your teeth? A brick. You know? People want to come. It is. It's common sense. And again, common sense is not common.
Yeah, Greg, because my experience is different from your experience. And what if I took that brick and I ground it down and then I brushed my teeth with the brick? Then it would still have the same, it would still be putting brick in my teeth, but I wouldn't lose my teeth. What now? Do they make your brain itch? He's like, I'm going to hang up on you.
No, it's a good thing I love your daughter. It's a good thing I love your daughter right now.
Were you going to threaten my life?
I was. And I was going to threaten her hot sauce.
Don't do that. Where'd you get it? Where did you get her hot sauce? Did you get it in Texas?
I got it at Hannaford's in Maine.
You got it in Maine?
Yeah.
Oh, I was going to ask you, what's the Highway of Tears equivalent in the States?
Interstate 40.
Really? How big is it?
Yeah.
Like, how far does it go? From what state to what state?
I-40. It's pretty much cross country.
Oh, really? Oh.
Yeah.
I don't drive the states. I gotta ask you. Well, then that makes sense. Because it goes right across the whole country.
Yeah.
Interesting. And it's Interstate 40?
Yeah.
It's always sad when those things happen. But it's what it is. Okay.
But again, here's the thing with those things that are happening. A lot of those people who are getting caught up in those situations live a high-risk lifestyle. So, high risk lifestyle. I hate to say it, but choices were made, not necessarily by just you, but choices have been made, and you are the one continuing to propagate those choices.
Yeah.
If I rob a store and get away with it one time, and I decide, hey, I'm going to keep robbing the same store, eventually bad shit's going to happen.
I get you. It's like playing Russian roulette every time when you're doing with like with the anti-vaxxers.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Makes sense. You're not wrong. I mean, like here's the thing. There's a lot of people that were anti-vax for just COVID, and I understood that. I actually have more respect for that anti-vaxxer than I do the other anti-vaxxers, unless there's like an actual problem. Like if someone says I'm anti-vax because I have really adverse effects to getting vaccines, and they're like legit. And when I say legit, I mean like they've talked to me about it. I'm not like, well, stop. I'm like, okay, I get it, no problem.
And
But
see,
the ones that are just like,
I don't have any respect either way.
whether they're anti-vaxxer or not, or whether they're anti-vax,
well,
you're either
whether
or.
they're if you're anti-vax, all of them,
Yeah,
cool. Glad you stand by your choices. You're anti-vax COVID. Depending on your reasoning behind it, I'm either going to look at you and go, okay, cool, sounds like you're dumb. Or, well, sounds like you didn't do any research.
Yeah.
So, good talk. I'm glad Vice News tells you how to live your life.
Well, that's the other thing, like I see all these things and it's like so much propaganda of like how they've poisoned us. And I'm like, you think the government wants to eradicate the majority of people? Who's going to pay for everything? How do you think the rich are rich? Because everybody else does their work for them. You just sit there and collect money. Most of them do. Most of them started somewhere, and then now it's just amalgamated into these big conglomerates of whatnot. And most owners are not working. They're out sailing and doing trips and doing this and doing that and checking quarterly reports and whatnot, but they're not really working anymore.
Nope.
So I don't see that as a plausible reality to poison more than half of humanity. It's just my thought. Maybe I'm wrong.
Because it's
don't prove me wrong. I don't care. Yeah, that's fair. Okay, Sunshine, I'm going to wrap us up. We are an hour and 12 minutes in.
Okay.
And as much as everyone loves listening to the podcast on their drives, because they do, they tell me, they're like, we listen to your podcast on the drives. I'm like, yeah, hang out with me. So thank you so much, Greg, for hanging out with me and talking to me about trucking.
Anytime, and maybe if we plan it right, we can have a really fun long form one here coming up.
He like totally froze. I'm not even gonna lie to you. He totally froze. He's sitting on my screen, froze. Oh, there he goes. We'd have a really fun time doing what? You froze.
Oh, a long form one.
Okay. Well, I know you're coming back on, and you're coming back on with another guest. So that's also a trucker. Yes. So I'm excited for her to come on. Especially female. I think a female trucker will be great to talk to. He's like, just looking. Can you hear me? 10-4. He's like, yes, I can hear you. Okay. So thank you everybody for joining us today. As I said, this is Greg Levy with Trucking, and that it is not a trade, but it should be. Anyhow, for any of you that would like to join the show, you can. Please reach out to me at lisa@lpmenterprises.net, and I will set you up with a time. Other than that, have yourself a wonderful day and don't do anything crazy.